Arguably, the strongest and most versatile path will become even stronger next patch. Every single path of Harmony character will be stronger than they were previously. Let me explain why. We have to first understand exactly what the role of the Harmony characters is supposed to be in Honkai Star Rail. These are characters that are buffers in the sense of providing utilities, various utilities to your team. Utilities in the form of maybe damage amplifications, maybe a speed buff, maybe a energy regen for the ally, depending on the character you're using, of course. Just providing any type of valuable buff that is necessary in order to enhance the performance of the team. Ting Yun has been a character many people have been using since the launch of the game. Her value have exceeded the expectations of many players, me included. I didn't expect this character to be as well, maybe I did, because of all the buffs she provide. She is an overloaded character at first glance, but at the addition of 1.2 she'll become even stronger. Ting Yun giving an attack buff is really good, and attack buff is very important for your damage dealers. Ting Yun giving energy to that ally, which is very, very valuable, and also giving an increased damage to the ally is very good, because the damage increase counts as elemental damage bonus, which is not really rare in Honkai Star Rail, but it still amplifies the total damage of the character. If you have Eidolon 1 for Ting Yun, you're able to give speed to your ally whenever you use the ultimate. So you're getting an energy boost for the ally, funneling energy towards the ultimate, you're giving them an elemental damage boost, and you're also giving them an increase in speed. And the increase in speed comes at the first constellation, which is very, very good. Bronya, who is currently the strongest Harmony character still, and arguably the top 2 contender for best character in the game, is getting more value with the release of 1.2. But you'll understand how strong Bronya really was, or maybe I say that in every video where we talk about the character because I just absolutely adore her. Bronya is able to remove a debuff from an ally, which is very, very good. Being able to remove a debuff from an ally makes it to where if an ally is stunned, a cleanse for that ally is very, very crucial. And because of the playstyle of Bronya, this is a very, very, very one of the best skills in the game. Very valuable. Also giving a damage increase to an ally depending on the level of your skill. A damage increase that counts as elemental damage bonus is very, very strong. That's going to be very, very good for any hyper carry damage dealer. Crit damage and attack boosts for the ally is very, very good also. While on top of that, having the crit damage increase based on Bronya's crit damage, so this is always going to hold more value towards the future of the game. Bronya is able to give more damage to all allies if you have the bonus ability. Of course, this is only if you have Equilibrium level 5, but it's still going to be a very valuable skill once you unlock it. Bronya also does have effect res boost in her talent ascensions, which will matter later in the video. So when you have a character like this that has a very overloaded kit, and that was pretty much a simplified version of Bronya, you all understand how exactly this character works in Honkai Star at this point because of how much I like to gas up this character. So you understand that any type of cleanser or healer needs to have effect resistance. That is very crucial and explains why Luocha has built-in effect resistance in this kit, or should I say crowd control debuff resistance, which is very, very good. It stops the character from getting stunned. So when you have any way of mitigating the debuffs and the stuns on your healers and cleansers, that's going to be very, very valuable because they're able to use their cleansing and healing skills. And if you have a cleanser that is stunned, well, they can't use their cleansing effect. So then that pretty much makes the character useless. So with the arrival 1.2, we'll be getting a new planar set. A planar set I will be personally using on my Bronya. This planar set will be giving effect resistance to the rare, which will make the stat line, getting that stat line easier for Bronya because of how hard it is to build stats on the character in the first place. You will also get a crit damage increase for your allies, which is good for a character like Bronya because you want to give crit damage to your team. With a character that already gives crit damage in her ultimate, more crit damage for your allies is going to be more damage. So I cannot wait for the arrival for 1.2 in order to have an easier way of building Bronya just because of how hard it is to get this character every stat she needs. In my opinion, Asta is the biggest winner for 1.2. With the new artifact relic set, this character is going to excel past the limits of what she already does. Let me explain to you why. Asta does a lot. In my opinion, she is on the borderline of being overpowered. Asta is able to give an attack increase to the whole team. This is very good because this is, well, it doesn't really have a cooldown. So you can constantly have an attack increase uptime depending on the stacks you have from Asta, which is a little bit of how the character works. You have to stack the passive, and once you stack the passive, then you'll have an attack increase depending on the stacks you currently have on the character. But you can stay at max stacks depending on the Eidolon level of your character relatively easily. So instead of 100% uptime, of course, depending on the Eidolon of your Asta, which is very, very good for a character that wants to be essentially the role of a buffer. Asta gives a speed increase to all allies for 2 turns. The speed increase is really good, and you can have 100% uptime depending on the energy restoration of your Asta if you have some of her Eidolons, and if you have a relic in which you have the accessory piece that gives energy restoration rate. So if you have those 2 things combined, then you'll have easier uptime on having this speed boost for the team. This speed boost will matter even more when I go into the reason why Asta is the MVP of 1.2. So the thing is about Asta, you don't necessarily need this character to have effect resistance, and the reason being is because she's able to reliably buff the team without having to really struggle doing so. She doesn't have a cleanse in her kit like Bronya, so there's no reason to give her effect resistance. She doesn't have any buffs in which she needs to constantly apply to the ally, which the buffs last for 1 turn, so if the character is stunned, then you don't get the buffs across. Even if Asta is stunned, her attack increase is still intact for the whole team. That speed increase is still there for the whole team. And now with the relic sets coming in 1.2, you will give a even further speed boost on top of the speed boost you already give for your ultimate to the whole team. And that in turn is going to be very valuable because the more speed you have, well, the faster you move in the turn order. And how Honkai Star works is, well, turn-based games in general. The higher your speed, the quicker you move. And the higher your speed is in general, well, sometimes you're even able to lap the enemy. So a character like Asta is going to have a lot more value in 1.2. I think every single Harmony character will have value with the addition of the 1.2 speed set. But Asta, in my opinion, takes the cake because the speed on top of the speed she already gives is going to put this character over the borderline of being overpowered. Now, maybe it's just me being biased because of how much I do enjoy the Path of Harmony and characters like Asta, for instance. So the reason why I say Asta is the MVP for 1.2 is because of the addition of the speed set. That speed set is going to allow this character to be the best support for Kafka. And the reason being is because Kafka in the dot team with Sampo and any other character you want to use, depending on the elemental weaknesses of the enemy, is going to get more value because of the more speed they will be having. As you all know, well, if you take more turns, you'll be generating more skill points because you're using basic attacks and all that jazz. And also, if your Kafka has more speed, then she'll be putting more dots into the enemy, while also proccing more damage over time effects from the enemy. Because as you all know, maybe you don't know, Kafka is able to detonate dots that are currently existing on the enemy. So this speed boost is going to be very good, because for a character you probably want to give most attack you can give possible, in order to take advantage of the damage over time being scaled off of attack. Asta is the character you need in order to get that stat you'll be missing, which will be speed. So of course, Seele will always get value because of the nature of how Harmony characters work in her team composition. Well, the hyper carry team comp you'll be using most of the time to Harmony characters. And if you're getting speed boost from your Harmony characters now with the addition of the 1.2 sets, she's going to get more value because, well, Seele is always moving fast because she has some of the highest speed, if not the highest speed in the game. Her elemental skill is able to give her more speed, and if you have Eidolon 2 for the character, you're getting even more speed for the character then. So she'll be constantly taking the turn. That's only the tip of the iceberg. She also has an increase in the action value with her basic attack, but you know, that's not really what you're going to be doing. Most of the time, you'll probably be using elemental skills, unless the enemy has lower HP. And you all understand how strong the Bronya and Seele synergy is currently, so it's going to be even stronger with 1.2. Lastly, we went over this previously. Even if you don't want to use Asta with your Kafka, you can still find a lot of value of using Planetary Rendezvous with your Ting Yun, and then using that Ting Yun with your Kafka, because Ting Yun gives energy to the ally while also buffing the ally's speed, and a character that wants to be the one taking the turn most of the time anyways, that one speed increase for the ally isn't going to matter in the grand scheme of things, because it's only going to be for the character that wants to be the one soaking up the skill points anyways. And well, the light cone that's able to give an elemental damage boost further to the allies is going to be very valuable if you take into consideration that Kafka and Ting Yun are both the same element. And the character that is going to be proccing the damage over time effects on the enemies anyways is going to be the one you probably want to funnel all of your resources to anyways. Now, of course, Yukong will also be gaining more value with the addition of 1.2. but she's a character I think many people haven't had the opportunity to use yet, or to simply get. And the reason being is because we all know we're getting a Yukong next patch. So there's no reason to try and go for the character on the banner. You probably don't want to get Luocha if you're skipping the character already. And for those of you that have gotten Luocha and not Yukong, you probably don't want to get another Luocha and save your rolls for the next banner character, which makes a lot of sense because 4 stars are generally hard to get in Honkai Star Rail. And Genshin Impact 2, they have the same gacha system. So there you have it. That's why I say Harmony characters will get more value with the addition 1.2. The speed set is very valuable for any character that provides buffs for the team. On top of that, the effect res is going to be very good for a character like Bronya that wants to give even more crit damage to allies while also increasing her effect resistance, because she has a built-in cleanse in her elemental skill, which is very valuable for the team composition she's in most of the time, which is the hyper carry. So you funnel all your resources to one character, and the cleanse is going to be very important for that one character. So I know farming relics is already a pain. If you have a dedicated set already, it's going to be kind of annoying to have to farm something all over again. So I get that 100%. But the reason being, Harmony characters aren't hard to build anyways. If you're trying to go for a crazy cracked out Bronya, of course, then you'll probably struggle the most with farming relics. But if you're going for the average build where you just want to give as much crit damage to Bronya as possible, and effect resistance, and then, speed if you can get it, then you'll have a very good Bronya as is. Twitch.tv/Toshio, the link will be in the description. Thank you for watching, and have a nice rest of your day. Peace.